Welcome back, my poets, to Poetry 101. I hope y'all like Hamilton, because that's what we're looking at today. This is the song Hurricane from Hamilton. If you are not familiar with Hamilton, I'll give you a quick recap. It is the story of the real-life person, Alexander Hamilton. He fought in the American Revolution. This part of the musical is in Act 2. Act 2 is hard to explain. It is the founding of America and like setting up the government and stuff, and how Hamilton was a part of that. However, he got caught up in a scandal. He was having an affair with a married woman. He also was married, so like bad all over the place. It's not like public, but her husband knows and is blackmailing him, and some of the people he knows are now like talking about the fact that they know that something's up, and then he's like, well, here's what I did, and they're like, oh, well, we won't tell anyone, but he doesn't trust them, so he finds himself in what he calls the eye of the hurricane, in the middle of this huge storm that is raging around him, and he's in the calm moment before it all goes down. So, with that in mind, knowing that he is in the midst of this dramatic moment and the crux of something in his life, here's where we find him. Now, this week's poetry lesson is about using the past to move forward, which is something that the song Hurricane does really well. This was written by Lin Manuel Miranda. He did the whole musical of Hamilton. We start with an interlude that kind of shows where we are, and then he moves backwards, forward, 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 backwards, forward, forward, and then he starts the plot back. So this is all kind of backstory, but the way that it's told doesn't make it feel like this is backstory. It's like, no, this relates to right now where we are. So the interlude starts with, in the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet for just a moment, a yellow sky. So it's that idea of, you know that something's coming and you can see it all around you and you are very caught up in it, but right now where you are standing in the middle of it is peace. And then we move back to the past. When I was 17, this man is no longer 17, so this is the past, a hurricane destroyed my town. I didn't drown. I couldn't seem to die. I wrote my way out, wrote down everything as far as I could see. I wrote my way out. I looked up and the town had his eyes on me. So now we're moving forward. Okay, 17, mother died. He couldn't seem to die. And now the town folks are helping him. We keep moving forward. They passed a plate around, and total strangers, moved to kindness by my story, raised enough for me to book passage on a ship that was New York bound. And now we hit to modern day, New York. So this is the American Revolution that he is talking about. I wrote my way out of hell. I wrote my way to revolution. I was louder than the crack in the bell. I wrote Eliza love letters until she fell. I wrote about the Constitution and defended it well. And in the face of ignorance and resistance, I wrote the financial systems into existence. And when my prayers to God were met with indifference, I picked up a pen. I wrote my own deliverance. Wait, that's not how deliverance works. Only God can deliver you. That's a video for another day. Then we move back again. So we've written, okay, here. This is what I have done recently up until the affair. Here's how I know that I am capable as a person. Back to the past. In the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet for just a moment, a yellow sky. That's our little interlude that shows us we're going back to the past again. I was 12, so we're going even further back. When my mother died, she was holding me. We were sick and she was holding me. I couldn't seem to die. He says, I'll write my way out. That's I will, not in the past. He's saying now. So we have gone from, he was 17. Here's how we got here. Here's what he did during the revolution. I was 12. Here's what I did here. I'm going to write my way out. We are jumping now to the present. Write down everything as far as I can see. I'll write my way out. Overwhelm them with honesty. This is the eye of the hurricane. This is the only way I can protect my legacy. The Reynolds pamphlet. The Reynolds pamphlet is a announcement thing that he wrote, being like, here's what I've done. I have slept with a married woman. I have accepted bribery money because of it to keep it hush hush. And I'm going to be upfront and honest about that. And everyone was like, well, he won't be president. What I really like about Hurricane by Lin Manuel Miranda is at this crux moment of what is he going to do? People that he knows want to take him down politically, want to take him down with this information. What is he going to do right now? And when he reflects back on his life, he finds, so in the first one when he was 17, he says, I wrote my way out, wrote everything down as far as I could see. I wrote my way out. I looked up and the town had its eyes on me. He's saying, okay, I was a writer. I started writing things and people noticed and people liked my writing and they paid me to have a better opportunity to come here to New York, to America. And then he keeps going back to the writing. I wrote my way out of hell. I wrote my way to revolution. I was louder than the crack in the bell. And that's talent because writing is very quiet. It is words written down, not said out loud. I wrote Eliza, love letters until she fell. Wrote about the Constitution and defended it well. He's basically like, here is my resume of how I've written things. And then he goes back to the past again. And he's not talking about writing. He's just talking about when his mom died. But then when he comes back to the present, he says, I'm going to write, because that's who I am. I'm a writer. I'm going to write my way back into something else. So how do we use this for our poems? Thank you for asking. I'm so glad you keep asking all these helpful questions. Using the help of an interlude. In the eye of the hurricane, there is quiet for just a moment, a yellow sky. When you're listening to the song, it's sung, because it's a song. So he says, in the eye of the hurricane, there is quiet for just a moment, a yellow sky. And then both of those are followed by, I was age when thing happened. Here's how it happened. So for example, when I was 12, my mother died. She was holding me. We were sick and she was holding me. I couldn't seem to die. An interlude is a very fun way to get from point A to point B. Now, I have this all typed out as one long blurb because that is how Google had it when I copied these lyrics from Google. If I was to separate this into paragraphs, the interludes would either be their own stanza or they would be the beginning of each stanza. Another helpful thing about the past is if you are writing a story, like let's say you were writing an epic poem, you were writing something big, like a book's worth of a poem, basically. There are such things as that, and we will get to that in the series, I promise. What you would do is then you would take a new stanza and start talking about past, character backstory or something like that, even in a smaller poem or just a self-contained this is who I am poem. For me personally, a lot of poems that I write are, hey, here's where I am. And it is very good to look at where you are and remember the past, especially from a Christian perspective. It's very important to remember, okay, like, yes, right now can be hard, but look at what God has done in the past. And so something like that, finding a common theme, like Hamilton being a writer. For me, you could write a poem about Ebenezer's. If you don't know what Ebenezer's are, it is this Christian idea of like this stack of stones almost that you can look at and remember this is what God has done. I actually Googled this recently. A lot of African-American churches have Ebenezer in the name of the church. And most non-African-American people hear Ebenezer, we think Scrooge, which is probably what you thought when I started saying it. But for the African-American people specifically, Ebenezer as like, remember what God has done, what he brought you out of, with the history of America and slavery. It is a very important word to them. So a lot of African-American churches are named Ebenezer. Anyways, doing a poem about the past would be great to do something about Ebenezer's. I'm going to make that the prompt of the day. If you want to sit and write a poem using the past for the future, talk about either something hard you're going through right now or something hard you've been through somewhat recently. For me, I could say, okay, my mom had cancer and it like kind of broke my brain down for a little bit and that was not fun. I could also pull a Hamilton and talk about being a writer in that. I have a couple poems that are going to be in my next book and they're on my Instagram somewhere about like when my mom told me that she had cancer. I remember being like, I'm not going to be able to write. It's going to hit me and I'm not going to be able to write. And that's what's probably going to hurt the most, is not being able to do something that I know I'm good at. But if I wrote a poem about that, I could start from, I can't write, this, that, and the other, like words have dried up because of bad news, or like my mom has cancer, but cancer is hard to find rhymes for, even though I have done it. I have a list of them somewhere, because again, you think these things when you're a writer and your mom has cancer, apparently. She's good, by the way. She's fine, healed well, healthy, and whole. Surgery went well, no chemo. It was really good. Like going from that perspective of when I first found out, and then looking back at, okay, but I never thought I could write a book, and I did. And I never thought that this, but I did. And I thought I'd be doing this, but I did. And bringing God into that would be really great as well. And to say those as Ebenezer's. Ebenezer's is a whole different thing. I'll probably end up making a video about it at some point. That is the prompt for the day, is to write an Ebenezer poem. Think about something hard you've been through recently and then look back and remember the good things along that line that you've been brought through or that have happened in the past, either on the same subject or with God in mind. That is the prompt. If you want to share that poem, you can share it with my Instagram at @officialjustinstrikes. If you didn't know, I am a writer. I have 7 books now. I have 3 in a series about kids with superpowers finding a villain hiding undercover at their school. I have 3 poetry books, and my most recent book, Aria Dalton Didn't Sign Up for This, is in the same vein as the original series. It is a girl with superpowers fighting a villain, but she's not like location locked to a school. She is all over her city and stuff, and it's very Phineas and Ferb meets Percy Jackson meets me. If you would like any of that, lulu.com is where my books are. You can follow my Instagram to learn more. You can subscribe here actually. You can watch more videos from the series here. Comment below if there's any video ideas you have that you'd love to see. We are wrapping up Poetry 101 in May. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.